It's TexAgs Rewind. And look, I'm just going to start the show off like this. We're brought to you by Specs. They're the 4-time National Retailer of the Year. You can check them out at specsonline.com. I am appalled, dismayed, confused. Nick, I found out a moment ago that Kaylee Dreyer does not know who Theo Vaughn is. That was shocking to me.
I'm not going to lie. I can't say the same thing. That doesn't shock me.
Really?
No, it doesn't.
Are you calling her a grandma?
No, not at all.
I mean, he's like very popular on. Have you ever been on YouTube? It's an app where you get to watch videos.
I don't really watch YouTube.
Have you ever been on Twitter?
Yes.
Okay, he's all over Twitter.
Okay.
He interviewed President Trump right before the election, right before the election. He's a funny comedian. Well, he's going to.
Do you know who President Trump is?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, making sure. Anyway, this has nothing to do with Rewind. 2 biscuits, by the way. But today on the Rewind, I'm just going to start things off. My favorite part of the show was Olin Buchanan. What did he do during the go hour that had me laughing?
Something to do with 1776, probably.
1775.
Or 5, yeah.
I think maybe when he was doing the Jim Turner bit, something he did just had me laughing. Whatever. OB was great. Kaylee, your favorite part?
Trisha Ford, always.
Yeah. Actually, that should have been. Trisha Ford didn't make the cut. She's got her own cut. Nick, favorite part?
John Harris.
Okay, why'd you say it so fast?
Because you said you wanted to get on with it, so trying to help out here.
Sorry, for those of you who fast forward during this intro, just 5 seconds longer, it's the Rewind. OB, should lose. I don't know if that's the word I would use. I would say A&M today would be the favorite in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the road. I'm a little bit perplexed.
That was on 3, by the way.
Why there's so much love for Florida. I get.
They played really well at the end of the year.
I get DJ Lagway.
Yeah.
I get that. But they were really good at the receiver position last year. I think Eugene Wilson's still around, but some of the other guys, like one of the guys that gave A&M a lot of trouble, his name, he had the Decay, D-I-K-A-E. I don't think he's there anymore. There was another guy, Badger. I don't think he's there anymore. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I thought they had some significant losses at receiver. I thought their offensive line was somewhat suspect. Is it going to be significantly better? Maybe. A lot of losses on defense. I'm not saying that they're going to be bad. I don't think you're going to be a bad team with DJ Lagway at quarterback. But the whole idea that they're going to be this team
juggernaut.
Yeah, I actually have to pump the brakes on that a little bit.
Am I reading too much into the way Ari responded?
Well, I mean, I think he's actually married to an Aggie.
Yeah, I've heard of that before.
But before learning that, he's has a history of dismissing A&M. He was the guy that said, I'm not going to say the vulgar thing he said, but in 2000 when A&M was upset that they didn't get into the
playoffs 2020.
And he's the guy that said Ohio State would do so. That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
It was more of a sexual thing to A&M.
Huh.
And then, of course, Ohio State lost by the very same margin to Alabama.
That's right.
Despite when Alabama played them, they didn't have Jalen, who's the really fast guy from Houston that played for the receiver. Crazy fast. I think he went to the Dolphins. Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
They didn't have him or Landon Dickerson.
To you, what would be your criteria to say someone's a sports villain?
Yeah, I think for me, it's how a particular individual impacts me and my team and my program in some sense. I mean, Mark and I talk about this all the time on All Access here in Houston, Texans all-time villains. And, he brings up Peyton Manning all the time. And, Peyton's like one of the great guys. Like he's never, now you see Peyton Manning and you realize how great he is. But, man, he was the biggest villain because every time that you walked into the building and he was on the other side as the quarterback, you're like, God dang it. He might have been the nicest guy and was the greatest guy, but I did not want to see him on the other side. Another one, like for us, is Derrick Henry. Like Derrick Henry just killed us. And it was every time that I had to look across and see 22 on the other side, I would cringe. And so I think people will take, villain in some, respects. I think you got a good one with Saban. I think Saban was a villain for a lot of people because Saban was never there were no soft edges or corners with Saban at all. It was the system. It was how they did things. It felt at times very robotic. They just, stopped the mud holing guys. It was, Saban on the sideline when they were up 57-3 on Appalachian State Tech out of Albany, and he's getting all over a freshman for, not making an interception to hit him in the hands or something like that. So I think you also have got the villains. I think, there are some that would say just, success. So Kirby is, maybe a villain because he's won so much at Georgia. And then you see some of the things happening with what Georgia's got going off the field. And you're like, oh, yeah, he's definitely a villain. So I think Kirby's probably there. I think all time, I think a lot of people would say Cam Newton. I think Cam was probably, because Cam was so braggadocio about everything that he did. And then that whole controversy of, did he take money? Did his dad take money? He's suspended, but he's not. He just kept smiling through the whole thing. And, he just was Cam Newton. As we've learned to find out, Cam's a pretty confident, arrogant guy.
We'll start things off with the most recent one, Mike Brown, the wide receiver from Legacy.
Yeah, and what a great story. Mike, I think he picked up his offer, maybe been the summer after his freshman year, but he's a guy that has been on A&M radar for a long time. 5'11", 6 foot, 175 pound, and he's got that tie to the university. His father, everybody knows the Reggie Brown story, great linebacker for Texas A&M, and just what they're doing out there at Legacy in spring. I mean, it's a phenomenal deal. But he brings a tremendous skill set. Had just a crazy long list of offers, has been on college radars forever, but a guy that has a really high football IQ and he runs excellent routes. He does a great job in spacing and has a tremendous catch radius. He competes on the track. He brings a lot to the table, and I think importantly, he's an in-state recruit, and there's been a lot of talk about A&M not having traction or enough traction in the state. I know it's been something that's been on the fans' minds, and whether you agree with that or not, getting an in-state commit and one with ties to the university, it definitely helps calm some of those fears. Or some of those worries, and getting two big in-state commits only makes it better.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to keep it with him with Mike Brown, because when I think of what the talk can be when you've got a legacy player from Legacy, a legacy player that has offers from all these top programs, but he's literally an hour away from campus, grew up going to games. His dad had such a storied history. When you think about that, you can't miss on those types of targets.
I feel like at some point we'll get on this weekly call and have to have something better to talk about.
Well, Kendall, they won yesterday. We got that. They.
There you go.
I mean, look, this season has been very hard, especially to talk about, but the pitching has been phenomenal. Like, Am I delusional for saying if they figure out the hitting, and I know they're way deep in the season, but I'm going to say it again. If they figure out the hitting, can this team make a run?
I mean, if they can figure out the hitting, they can. But I mean, that's one of the two most important things about the team. So, I mean, at some point you kind of are what you are. And if we're sitting here after week 7, I would say if we're sitting here going into week 8, and you're still seeing the same exact type of production on the week and the same number of strikeouts on the weekend, I kind of feel like you are who you are. So I actually feel like this weekend with Kentucky, who's also scuffling a little bit at home, if this offense is a much different look this weekend, particularly with Cadence Terrell potentially back in, then yeah, I mean, I would not put it past the team to make a run. But I mean, as of right now, I mean, the two things that I do like about this team is I do feel like the defense has gotten better. And what's kind of unbelievable and the reason why I say this is because typically if an offense is not giving its pitching staff support, eventually the pitching will suffer as well. Well, that has not really happened with this team. The fact that Prager's at 2.17 ERA, Patton's at 2.41 ERA, Lincoln's at 2.52 ERA, and this team is losing is kind of unreal. Like, imagine going into the season if we would have said, "Hey, those are our ERAs of our weekend guys," and you're sitting where you are. Like, you would have thought we were taking crazy pills or something.
Talking to Kendall Rogers here on TexAgs Live. So Caden Sorrell, potentially we could see him this weekend. What do you think one domino like that can do for this offense?
Well, I think one of the biggest issues that A&M has had this year is obviously strikeouts are an issue. But I think the other issue is, hitting is contagious. And, I feel like this is a team that, has gotten a hit or two, but there's not like that next person to kind of keep the assembly line going a little bit. And the thing about a guy like Sorrell, and, I've heard great things about his VPs, he's obviously awesome in the fall. But a guy like, Sorrell is, at the middle to bottom of the lineup. If there's somebody on base, he is someone who can go into the gap.
Okay, closing it out. So yesterday, I had Reed say something for the people to put when they like, comment, subscribe. Okay, he couldn't think of anything, and I said 2 biscuits. Okay, so that's what people wrote yesterday. We got like 3, not as many as I was hoping for. You now have to think of something random for people to type. Tell them now, go.
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know.
Anything.
Ranch dressing, Jenga blocks,
Chair.
fire extinguishers.
Chair. That's the best you can do. All right, don't write anything. Whatever you do, do not write chair, Jenga, anything. Don't write a thing.